Houston, I asked Andrea if she would come as well, and she graciously accepted. So thank you for being here.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to get the ball rolling. I'm just going to ask a couple of questions, and I'm going to open it up to the audience if that's cool. All right? So we were talking yesterday. I was really surprised to find out how early in the process you got involved in this project. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
So this film, you guys are familiar with Outfest in LA?
Mm-hmm.
So they have a program there called the Screenwriters Lab, which is a process that you can go through as a writer. Our writer, this is actually the first script he ever wrote, which is, I think, unbelievable because it's so good. But he wrote the script and he submitted it to Outfest for their Screenwriters program. And they selected it with 4 other films to kind of try to help facilitate a deal of some kind or try to hook him up with a director or things like that, get the process moving. And so that's how he met Darren Stein, who's our wonderful director. And throughout this process, I had gotten an email from my manager who George Northey, our writer, had reached out to and said that he had written this part and he had actually written it for me, I guess, which I didn't know until pretty late in the process, but and asked me if I wanted to do the selection, which was like a 13-page selection to read at Outfest, and so that was almost 3 years ago, and we did that reading, and now sitting here watching it, so it's pretty cool.
Bravo.
So, Shlee, yes, yeah, she has like the worst gaydar on the planet.
I know. She's the worst at a lot of things, I think.
What was your favorite part about playing
Shlee?
Yeah, playing Shlee.
I think that she's a really fun character. A fun little family tidbit about my family is my brother's actually in Book of Mormon in New York. And so I think we just have this theme going on in my family with Mormonism. But so I just think that she's a really fun character to play. I enjoy a lot of qualities that she has. I like how nice she is. And how stupid she is. I mean, and so yeah, I think that she's got some great lines too, and it was just fun for me to do something kind of different.
You played the naive, sexually repressed Christian very well. Thank you. Alrighty. So on that note, I'm going to open up questions to the audience. Do you have anyone out there who has a question for Andrea?
Not all at once, guys.
Bueller?
Where was the film shot?
It was all shot in Los Angeles. Yeah.
Which was refreshing for her, I'm sure. Being in Houston for 43 days.
It was less humid, that's for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely, yes. Anyone else?
Yeah.
What is your favorite scene from the movie that you played in?
My favorite scene that okay. So when I read the script, my favorite scene was the coffee scene where we're sitting and we're kind of grilling him about being gay, which was one of the the scenes that we did for distributors way back years ago. But I think my favorite scene now is actually a scene that I'm not in, which is my attempt at seeming humble. Also it's the scene where Tanner comes out to his parents. I just think it's a beautiful scene and it's a really funny scene, and it kind of changed throughout the different incarnations of the script, and so to kind of see what it became is cool too. So it's my favorite.
Yeah, it's a beautiful scene. Anyone else? Back here?
When did you know you wanted to become an actress?
Practically when I was in utero. I'm going into my 20th year of being in the business, and I'm the youngest of 6 kids, and we're all in the industry in some facet, except for my poor parents, who had all intentions of raising a normal family, except for that there were 6 of us. And so, yeah, I grew up in Manhattan, I grew up in New York doing Broadway and theater there, and then went out to LA and have been there for about 9 years. So,
her 20th year, she's only 23. For real. I jokingly tell people that I'm old enough to be her aunt, and she's got 10 years on the business, more than I. She's amazing. So, anyone else in the back?
Yeah, was there a lot of ad-libbing time?
There was. I mean, we shot the film in a little under a month, and so we definitely needed to stay on track. And the script itself, the text itself, is so wonderfully witty and funny on its own that I think we were all a little gun shy to improv because we had fragile egos and we didn't want to be less funny than what we were working with. But our writer was really awesome about being pretty liberal with what we were allowed to do. So some of the lines that really get a wonderful response were improv. So we had
Such as?
I know. Well, I'm trying to think of. Well, actually, all of Megan Mullally's scenes where she's watching Brokeback. That's all improv. So in what they did when they were filming it was they pulled the scene up on YouTube, or they put the DVD in or something on a laptop in front of Megan and Paul, and they just said, we're going to film you as you're watching the scene and whatever commentary you want to throw at us to do. And it kind of was something that ended up going on longer than they had anticipated, but once they got into the editing room, they were like, we have to leave this in because it's just gold. So that's a good indication of the improv in it.
Right. Yeah.
Was this funded by Outfest?
It wasn't funded by Outfest. No, we got independent distributors or financiers for the film.
And it actually didn't premiere at Outfest, it actually premiered at Tribeca.
Yeah, it premiered at the Tribeca Film Festival in New York.
Which I think is great because it's a wonderful film and it's great to see a film where sort of your typical teen comedy that takes that what is typically the supporting character of the gay best friend and making them the star of the film. But to me, it's still a teen comedy, and it's great that it was able to get a premiere at Tribeca, I think. So yeah.
Can you talk a little? You said that you were involved early on. Can you talk a little bit about the casting process, because you have some great big names that I'm sure help with the funding, but also bringing in some people who are unknown.
Yeah. So I've only really learned about the casting process that they went through, kind of post filming, because as an actor you don't know much about it, you're just happy to get the part. I know that when I did the reading years back at Outfest, there was only one other person who ended up being in the film who was also in the reading with me, and that is Michael Willett, who plays Tanner. So he was kind of on board from the beginning stages as well, and then kind of our writer and our director, more our director because our writer's so new to the whole industry, but our director knows a lot of people in Hollywood and he has a lot of friends, and so some of the larger names that ended up being in the film signed on just purely because they loved the script so much, and they had people kind of competing, some really big names. I don't think I'm allowed to, I probably shouldn't say any of the other names who were supposed to be some of the other roles, but there was actually kind of like a bidding war, so to speak, for some of the characters of the more named people that you'd know. And then everybody else went through a pretty standard casting process. I know Zosha, who plays the amazing Caprice, she actually got cast off of an audition self-tape that she sent in. And Sasha, who you guys probably know from Pretty Little Liars, she met with Darren like 2 or 3 times before signing on as well, and surprise, surprise, she was actually 16 when we shot the film, so she's really the only actual teenager that we used, but yeah, that was kind of how it all came together.
So, having known you for a few years now, I know we've had these discussions. I know what a huge Harry Potter fan you are.
Oh yes.
So, what was your reaction when you found out you were going to be working with Luna Lovegood?
Yeah. So I don't know if there are any other Harry Potter fans here. Yeah. Okay. So we're all in one nerd family together. That's exciting. When I found out that she was going to be my minion, so to speak, I had a really big freak out. I was super excited about that. And she couldn't be any greater or sweeter. This was the first film she ever did with an American accent, so she's from Ireland. So, but yeah, I tried to play it cool. She was a big fan of Desperate Housewives, I guess, which like made me want to die. I was so excited. But I like tried to play it off like I didn't know she was. I don't think I did it so well.
Any other questions? Over here? Yeah.
So what was the longest day y'all had, and how did, it seemed like y'all had set like with the parties and then.
Yeah, we had a lot of long days. I think the Cameron Woods party, the one where I get drunk, I think that was our longest because we started. Night shifts always you know, night shoots always go, we had a couple on Preacher's Daughter, that go longer than you intend for them to. You know, you have like a 4 p.m. call, and then you end up being there until, you know, whenever it gets light out, and sometimes after if you have to darken the windows for wherever you're filming. So that was probably our longest. The prom actually took several days to film. We filmed that in different installments over the course of a few days.
It was a big production, but it looked incredible.
Yeah, we had
Fabulous.
set decoration.
Set decoration was crazy awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Yeah.
How often did you get it right the first time? I mean, when
She
you said,
always gets it right the first time. As her director, I can tell you.
No,
Absolutely.
I don't mean, I guess, just you personally, but did doggies have to keep reshooting stuff? I
Because
mean,
we laughed so much.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there were definite days that were harder than others because we all had different favorite scenes, and you know, I think that this film was so well casted. I mean, taking myself out of it, I just think that everybody, you know, does such a stellar job in their roles. And I find them all to be so funny and so brilliant, and it was really hard to keep a straight face through a lot of it. That's probably like 1/18 of the amount of blooper reel we have, because, you know, I mean, most of it is probably not okay for a PG-13 rated film. That's why I didn't make it in. But yeah, I mean, we laughed a lot, and also the dialogue itself is so wordy and it's so complicated and, you know, quote-worthy for sure. But there's that one line that Zosha has where she says he has a convenient case of boner-induced amnesia, and that's like, you know, that was a mouthful. So no pun intended. So we definitely had to do, you know, more takes on certain scenes than others. Such a foreman.
That's your line.
I know that is my line. Yeah. I wrote that one. I wrote the foreman line.
She actually wrote that line.
Yeah. What has the distribution been like for this film? Has it been?
Yeah, so we actually just announced, we were able to announce this week what our deal was, because after Tribeca, it goes through, like, you know, kind of a pretty labor-intensive process of figuring out what kind of deal you want. And nowadays in the industry, it's changed so much in the past decade that the different avenues in which you can follow your film and, you know, there's a lot more, so to speak. So we have a distribution deal in place. We're going to be in theaters in February, I believe, of 2014. Personally say how proud I am to be a part of this film for a multitude of reasons, but specifically because it is the first film of its kind with a high school student as a gay high school student as its protagonist. And I say, and I mean this so much, that if I stopped acting tomorrow and no one ever hired me again, I would feel okay about that, because I was a part of something that I think actually is really important. And so the fact that we're going to be, you know, in cities throughout this country is something we're really, really excited about. And then it'll also be available for video on demand and, you know, DVDs and Blu-rays and all that.
So go out and tell your friends.
Yes.
Facebook message about it, Twitter, whatever you do.
Yeah.
Let people know, because I mean, it's an awesome, awesome film, and it's just beautifully written and performed, and it's just, I loved it. So yeah, definitely help get this film out there.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I was just wondering where the Mexican kids from California
Yeah, it's the one. I think there definitely are in California. I don't know if they eluded our film, I guess, but I think if you look at the rest of the kids in the school, we tried to.
They're there.
I promise they're there. I promise.
Okay, there's one other question, I think, before we wrap up this Q&A. Back here? Yeah.
Are you still keeping in touch with your co-stars like Ivana and?
Yeah. Actually, we were so lucky because our cast is just the loveliest people to work with, and we have been we've been promoting a lot, and we've been, you know, going through different festival circuits together as a group, and even just with the filming alone, we all bonded a lot. I mean, I see some of the members of our cast like 3 or 4 times a week. So, and we're all in one big group texting situation scenario. So if we're not seeing each other, we're talking pretty much daily.
Awesome.
Great.
Well, thank you all for coming out.